Faithletic, the podcast, after a 2-week absence, well, really one, we are back.
We're back.
We're not Texas back, but we're back.
We're back and better than ever, some would say.
And welcome for those who were over the holiday and your favorite podcast. The hottest thing going today on Podcast Mania, podcast isms. It's Faithletic, the podcast, the one that really no one has quite figured out yet because we haven't figured it out yet. Or have we?
No, we have.
We kind of have, but we haven't.
Yeah.
We're still kind of trying to find our niche.
Right.
But do we have a cram-packed, action-packed, however long we're here, show for you tonight? There's been a lot happening since we...
there has been a lot
has gone on.
A ton.
Yep.
A ton that have happened.
Where do we start? I mean, we've got the NFL playoffs that are... All the teams are seeded and determined. Guess what? Your Kansas City Chiefs have a bye the first week.
Let's go!
Number 2 seed in the
I'm
AFC.
going to save it for when we have our special guest.
We do have
folks.
our special call-in guest straight out of Kansas City, ladies and gentlemen.
Straight out of KC.
And on top of that, he is a University of Central Oklahoma Sports Hall of Famer.
Hey, so are you.
You have 2 in the building.
Oh, my gosh.
2 on the show. Yeah.
Wow.
My good friend for almost 40 years, we're kind of giving our age away, will be with us live and in color here in about 20 minutes. In the meantime, we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm donning my brand new Chiefs shirt that my mom...
Is it brand new?
Yeah.
How about that?
My dad and I got the same matching shirts.
Yeah, cool.
My brother-in-law, he got a Packers one, just
Ooh,
like it.
do you live even in the
everything.
same place, or really?
Yeah, and we all took a picture together,
Yeah.
so that actually might be my profile picture a little later.
That might do it.
Anyway.
And then on a sad note, or a happy note, depending on how you look at it, the Dallas Cowboys aren't in the playoffs.
Listen, I'm kind of sad, but because I have many thoughts, and maybe we should just jump in this way.
You want to go NFL?
Yeah,
and we can bring
yeah.
Jeff in when we get there.
Yeah, sure. A lot happened in the NFL. That is for certain.
Yeah, I mean, that last week was kind of crazy.
Oh yeah,
a little bit.
Oh yeah,
bit.
I mean, first of all, you have like what is really looking like the beginning of the end for this Patriots dynasty. Don't you think?
One can only hope.
I mean, it's
sorry, New England Dan, but
it's kind of fizzling out.
It kind of looks like
just a little bit. It kind of feels.
Or are they really? Are they just setting you up for
No, I don't. I mean,
I mean, Tom's over there going, you may think you have me, but you really don't have me.
You know, so I heard something today that kind of piqued my interest a little bit, talking about the fact, and also just a stab to my gut a little bit, the fact that don't you think that maybe if D Ford was 2 inches on the right side of the ball for the Chiefs, that Chiefs win the game, and we're already talking about the Patriots dynasty already falling.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. That was a crazy, crazy ending to the Chiefs game. My dad and I were listening in the car. We were driving from Fort Dodge, Iowa to Kansas City,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, to St. Louis,
St. Louis,
listening to the game. And on one of our pit stops, we were celebrating in a McDonald's parking lot.
I bet you were.
Big time
I bet you
when
were.
the news went down. I actually, something, I don't know if it was the drive or whatever, I thought the game was already over and the Patriots won. And so I started to get text messages from my buddies and all my friends going crazy. And I realized, no, the Dolphins went ahead. My eyes were playing tricks on me a little bit because I feel like I was in the car for so long or whatever. But anyway, that was amazing for Ryan Fitzpatrick to have that gutsy performance, to get that touchdown in the back of the end zone. And we'll talk more about this with Jeff. But it was an awesome celebration And it was cool to hang out with my dad.
Yeah, I'll
too.
bet.
Yeah,
I'll bet.
big Chiefs fan himself.
You know,
Reason why I'm a Chiefs fan. So.
One of the things you're talking about hanging out with your dad. So, 40 years ago, last week, I think it was the 28th of December, Roger Staubach won his last game. Let me tell you a little history on this. So it's the game against the Redskins in Texas Stadium. The Cowboys fall behind 34-21, and I turn it off. And Dad has been gone all day, right? Because he worked on the railroad and gets home. So when Dad walks in the door, he goes, "What's going on with the game, son?" I says, Cowboys are behind by like 2 touchdowns. I turned it off. He goes, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." So I said, "I guess we should turn it back on." So we turn it back on and observe Roger Staubach at one of his classic comebacks. So, and let me tell you a little bit about the history of this, because the Redskins win. Dallas probably still makes the playoffs, but the Redskins win the division, right?
Sure.
Cowboys get in as a wild card. Staubach pulls one of his rabbit out of the hats, last 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes, wins the ball game on a touchdown pass to Tony Hill. His name was Thrill Hill. Catches a fade in the end zone, the corner of the end zone, like a 10-yard pass with less than a minute, like 58 seconds left. Defense does his job, tackles Joe Theismann, and Cowboys win the game. But the unique thing about it was, as the Redskins had delivered a wreath to the Cowboys locker room.
For Roger Staubach.
Well, just for the Cowboys, because I think what happened during the things of the game is the Cowboys basically weren't going to make the playoffs if the Redskins won. So they had a wreath made up and took it down to the Cowboy locker room. Rest in peace, Cowboys done, something like that. And the Cowboys win it. Redskins don't make the playoffs. Cowboys win the division, and Ed Too Tall Jones hand delivers the wreath back to the Redskin locker room, opens the door up, throws it in the center, and says, "I think you left something behind."
Oh, man. Oh, dang.
But the beauty of it was I got to see Roger Staubach's last game with my dad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a really cool thing just to get that 2 seed, like, with mine as well. Like, it was a pretty cool thing. So, yeah, anyway, good Christmas break. Kind of a tough one. A little bit. Lost my grandfather. Had his funeral last Saturday. It seems like 3 months ago.
I bet it did.
But
condolences to you.
Yeah. He was a great man and taught for 38 years at the high school in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Just awesome, and we got to celebrate his life. But man, we were all over the place for the holidays. That's for.
You were.
For sure.
Tell me where you were again.
So we left last Thursday from here in Oklahoma City to Fort Dodge, Iowa, that's where my grandparents lived. And then we went from Fort Dodge, Iowa to St. Louis, Missouri, and then St. Louis back here. Got back last night. Took the day to rest a little bit, which was really nice, and kind of recuperate from all the travels. And anyway, we're back and trying to get in the groove again here shortly. Although this is the first time I think I've worn jeans in 4 days. Anyway,
sometimes I go through days like that where because I don't get to wear jeans in my job, and so it might be Saturday before I get a pair of jeans on.
Yeah. I mean, I was cool with sweatpants though. That's for sure. For the past 4 days.
Well, yeah.
It was great.
I would be too.
Yeah. So it was actually really cool because we did have Christmas with my in-laws and that side of the family, which was fun. And then we left the next day, and then that's the reason why we went to St. Louis, so that our family can have some semblance of a Christmas together. And so. All of that said, it's been a long couple weeks, but highs and lows, and God is still good, and I think that's the important thing. But this is my favorite time of year. Like, I love, my favorite time of the sports year is the NFL playoffs by a long shot, in my opinion. The next 2 weekends are my favorite 2 weekends because there's more games, and I love it. So it's going to be fun.
So you want to hear how our you and I's matchup is going with
so
our
far,
predictions?
yes.
We are tied.
We're tied.
Yep.
Let's go.
2 weeks ago, because we didn't get to pick last week.
Sure, right.
So
yep.
2 weeks ago, you were 6-2. You missed the pick on Buffalo. You took Buffalo over to New England.
I did. Yeah, okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
And you took Seattle to beat Arizona.
Seattle should have beat Arizona.
But they didn't.
But they didn't.
And then that was the differences in the two games. Now, I lost the Green Bay-Minnesota game. You picked Green Bay. I picked Minnesota. So you lost 2. I lost 1. I was already 1 game behind. So we're evened up going into playoff weekend.
Yeah, and I think we should probably break these down a little bit later for sure.
Yep.
After our call with Jeff.
Yeah, we might even have him pick some of those
sure,
playoff games.
Yeah, because I think I have some opinions, especially on that Green Bay team. Like, they're a number 2 seed, but they sure don't seem like a number 2 seed.
Yeah, I don't know
at all.
They are. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers always scares me. Maybe it's because Dallas has basically hardly ever beat him since he's gotten his mojo, and I just don't. He scares me. And plus, they're at home. I mean, they're going to be at home their first-round playoff game, so,
So maybe that's the thing that I kind of forget about is the fact that, like, that thing, it's hard to win 13 games in the NFL 100%. And I do think Aaron Rodgers can totally switch situations on a dime. And as much as I'm kind of down on the Packers right now, for sure, Aaron Rodgers can flip the script on you
he can.
like that.
He definitely can.
There's only about 4 quarterbacks that can do that in the league right now that you're like, man, this guy.
So, Brady.
I don't think so anymore.
You don't think so?
Brady's done.
You don't think he's got one left in him?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think that I would go with Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. I'd go with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
I don't think you can put Lamar Jackson in there yet.
You don't think so?
No, he's not. He's not been tested in playoff situations. I just don't. I mean, you got to watch him, but you don't know really. Has he really been tested in those last 2-3 minutes when you're behind by 10 points?
No, we haven't seen that because they have been ahead in
They've
this.
destroyed everybody.
Right, and this could be a situation where it's like Atlanta, because Atlanta, those teams with Michael Vick. That's what I'm speaking about, is like Michael Vick. I mean, he had no success in the postseason. Not saying that he won't have success in the postseason, but I mean, it's going to be really interesting to watch Lamar for sure, and see what this Ravens team is really made of for sure. So. I think that the Ravens still are really tough. They scare me, but the Chiefs did beat them in week 3 of the season with a healthy Patrick Mahomes.
They did.
It's going to be really cool. I'm so excited about the fact because the Chiefs do get a break, but this Ravens team does get a break. And I actually think it might actually hurt them a little bit because of the momentum that they have. They've had momentum for so long, this Ravens team, and so it's going to be interesting what the week off does to them, if it makes Lamar Jackson
Who is the 6th seed?
It is I believe
Is it Buffalo or Tennessee?
I believe it's Tennessee.
So they're 6th seed. You're correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
So it'll be Tennessee traveling to the Ravens.
If
that's what it plays out.
Yes.
Well, not necessarily, because if let's see, how does that work? So Buffalo, so New England, that's probably how it would work out, unless the Texans win, and then
it's gonna be funky because I mean the way that it
worst seed that survives playoff week play.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee does beat New England, but I really want New England to win.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
I think that Tennessee could win, but I think Tom Brady is just too experienced, obviously, and it's going to be in Foxborough. And I want Holyfield. Give me Holyfield. Like, that means that Tom Brady's traveling back to Kansas City in
We can hope so.
Yes, I'm hoping. Give me Holyfield.
Gilly Holyfield. All right, so on this show, just to let you know, we're going to bring in a special call-in guest out of Kansas City, my good friend Jeff Oakes. He is a Kansas City Chiefs fan. He has some insight, we think. At least he claims to.
I don't know. You said so, but I'm going to ask him some
see.
questions, too.
Yeah, he better get up to the batter's plate because it's getting ready to happen.
Oh, yeah, this is about to be Chiefs talk, baby.
Yeah, I'm going to. And then probably while he's in the conversation, we've got to talk about the coaching situation with the Dallas Cowboys. So I want to keep him on line because he and I have conversations going back and forth about the Cowboys. He knows my passion for them, and I've definitely got some things I want to say because why, and I don't want anybody to answer this yet, but I just want to put it out there. Why is Jason Garrett still breathing? I just want to know. I just want to know.
We don't want to kill him.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
His Dallas Cowboys life to be over.
We do. Well, yes, we do. And we're going to talk about that during our segment with Jeff. And we're also going to talk about the college football playoff and the bowl games. If you have some, I'll tell you what, our biggest Facebook question is, what's your biggest surprise in the college bowl season so far? I want one. I don't hear yours yet.
I definitely got one.
We're going to talk about that when we get into college. In our last half of our segment, we're going to have our celebrity spotlight, our athlete spotlight. Kyle and I are going to kind of handle that together. And we might just, if we can get Jeff to hang on long enough, we might let him play our special segment of Overvalued, Undervalued, or Money 2.0. Might even be 3.0.
Who knows?
Who knows? There's no telling what we're due. So what we're going to do right now is, for the first time ever, really, we're going to take a break, which is like for maybe 90 seconds or so I can get Jeff hooked in, and then we're going to be back. And, again, Facebook question, what's your biggest surprise in the bowl season? And you can include the college football playoffs if you choose to do so. There's still some games left. I haven't really checked too close today on some of the games that have been going on, but we're going to kind of try to loop that on in. We're going to have our celebrity or athlete spotlight. We're going to have Overvalued, Undervalued, or Money 2.0. And we're just going to have a lot of fun today. And if you haven't figured it out yet, we don't have a script. We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. And just to let you know, we barely got connected on time to be here at 8 o'clock. And we had a couple of technical issues. We had some wardrobe malfunctions. Something, I say wardrobe, studio malfunction.
You just had it, yes.
Yeah, yeah. This, in case you're wondering, where are we? We're in the middle of the Faithletic Sports Palace Studios here in somewhere America.
Somewhere, yeah.
Parts unknown.
Parts unknown, but close to Oklahoma somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere close by. Most of us know know that it's somewhere around somewhere. So, you know what? I lost that one, but tell you what we're going to do, if I can find it. There it is. I don't have the other one. Oh, there. Dadgummit. All right, so we're going to take about a minute break. So don't go away.
Don't go away.
I'm going to, that's really going to be kind of funky when we do this because I'm not going to be able to do what I really want to do. But
that's okay.
We'll figure it out. So stay tuned with us. I'll have some background music in it. You'll be able to hear it. In fact, it's coming right now. And there it is. We'll be back in a minute.
90 seconds.
Faithletic, the podcast. Join us for special guest Jeff Folks out of Kansas City, Missouri. Be right back. Faithletic Podcast. You're back on this very special and regular time edition of the hottest new podcast going today on
That's us.
On social media network.
Hottest podcast.
And during this time right now, I'm so excited about bringing in my good friend. And as soon as I get all the connections going,
you got all the connections right there.
There it is.
There
We're going to have him on. We're still kind of flying by the seat of our pants, so you just kind of have to bear with me. So to give you a little bit of background on this guy, he is a good friend of mine. We've known each other almost 40 years. Served on the athletic training staff of then Central State University Broncos, now the University of Central Oklahoma. But he's also the coveted Sports Hall of Famer from the University of Central Oklahoma, and he's out of Kansas City, Missouri, and he is a diehard Chiefs fan. My good friend Jeff Folks. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, and roll Chose.
Yeah. Well, it rolled Chose. That's the Bronchos. It's spelled Bronchos, not Broncos, and we definitely have a few memories there too that we probably shouldn't talk about on live radio.
Yeah, that's a whole other show.
Yeah, you got that right.
Oh, man, I'd love to hear some of those.
No, you don't.
I don't?
No, you don't.
Dang. Oh, man. So, Jeff, we're excited to have you on for sure. It's good to have another fellow Chiefs fan on the show for sure. So, we're glad that you're with us tonight. So, what did you think? Walk us through this past Sunday. How you felt? Did you really think we stood a chance at getting that number 2 seed?
No, well, you know what, and you never know. I mean, there was a few years back that the Chiefs needed, I think, four or five different things to happen for them to even make the playoffs.
Yes.
And they all 4 or 5 happened on the same day. So the Chiefs faithful here, the people, my friends, the people I was talking about, we kept reminding ourselves of that year. I don't remember the year. It was probably 10 years ago at least. But we're thinking, well, if that happened, maybe Miami could do something. And so, although we was totally surprised, they weren't completely caught off guard because we've seen crazier things happen.
Right.
But I think the craziest thing was at the game, watching the broadcast, and Mitch Holthus was calling both games at the same time because Holthus is an old KC guy. He started here way back when, so he was a closet Chiefs fan, but now after that call, I think he's pretty much a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, that was Kevin Harlan doing that. Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Harlan.
Yeah.
Holthus, the radio guy.
Yeah, he's the radio
Kevin
guy.
Harlan.
But I did. My dad and I were actually listening to Mitch Holthus on the radio, and then like that clip of Kevin Harlan doing that, calling both games at the same time. Like, that came through my phone, and me and my dad were laughing hysterically at it because he just kind of owned that little he does just about every Chiefs game that he can possibly do with CBS, and so him doing that was awesome. And if you haven't seen it, if our listeners haven't seen it, go check it out. I'll post a link to that little clip where he's calling both games at the same time while the Chiefs fans are going crazy in the stands as well because they were scoreboard watching as well.
Yeah, there was just a slow roar in the stands. It went from like the lower levels to the top. It was just crazy.
Were you at the
It
game?
was crazy. No, I was. I had some friends that were there. And of course, they showed it on local TV. They showed it, not live, but they showed a replay on TV of how it just kind of crescendoed throughout the stands.
Sure, yeah, I saw that. It looked it's just the best environment. I had the chance to go to Chiefs Packers this year, a game that we lost. But just being in the stands was awesome, for sure.
I would tell your listeners, if anybody ever has a chance, whether you're a Chiefs fan or not, maybe if you have another team that's playing here, come to the Chiefs game. I've been to several stadiums around the country, and Kansas City does a good job, and I don't know if it's by design or it's the local fans. It's like a college atmosphere. I mean, it's a tailgate, parking lots that start 6 hours before the game, no matter what time the game is, to the game itself. It's more of a college atmosphere. I've been to Charger games, and people sit on their hands and look for sushi or what have you. So it's just a different atmosphere. It's a completely different atmosphere than any other NFL stadium.
That and like I grew up going to Bears fan games as well, And it was not a welcoming environment for maybe an away fan to come and go to the game. But Chiefs fans, they're welcoming to everybody. And it was so funny because we were going back and forth, Packers fans, about week 8 when that was. And, joining each other's tailgates and everything. It was a blast for sure. But I think that's just has everything to do with Kansas City for sure. Plus,
right, and I think everybody's pretty welcoming. You can wear other colors, with the exception of the Raiders.
Don't do that.
Well, you can wear Raiders. You'll just get razzed a little bit more than you were if you're wearing something else.
Yeah.
My first experience of an NFL football game was my senior year of high school. They took our football team to the Chiefs-Raiders game.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That game was great.
Kenny Stabler was the quarterback for the Raiders. I think the Raiders won. I don't really remember, but I definitely don't remember who the Chiefs Packers was, and that was 1978 football season. 79 is when I graduated. Jeff, you graduated 78 from Western Heights?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, a year before you. Yeah. Yep. Spring of '78.
Yep. And Jeff actually graduated before our famous national championship run, but you were on the training staff though the year they went to the finals, correct, at UCO?
Yeah, it was my freshman or sophomore year. Scott Berger, my sophomore year. Scott Berger threw 6 interceptions, which I think is still a record today. Unfortunately, most of the interceptions weren't his fault. But we had to face Texas A&I and Darrell Green.
Oh yeah,
future Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
wow.
Played
Okay.
for A&I.
Texas A&I.
And that was part of the reason.
Which is
A&M Kingsville? Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to ask. Who are they now? Texas A&M Kingsville.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Well, I think we outgained them. Central outgained them total yards in every word facet, and just had one mistake that cost us.
Yeah.
I'll give you by 6 points, 20 to 14. But
That's right.
we could rehash that game a million times over. We still lose it. So, unfortunately.
Yeah, your senior year, if Page doesn't go down, we probably win one that year too.
Right. Yeah. I remember that. I think that team might have been every bit as good or better than the team that won it the following year. But yeah, a couple of injuries and some bad draws in the late in the year hurt them their chances.
Well, and it's funny how that all transpired because before Randy Page, incidentally, is who we're talking about, who was one of the best high school quarterbacks in the history of Oklahoma City football. And he also played the same year that Scott Tinsley did from Putnam West and Kelly Phelps did at Putnam City. And
also Smokey McCarthy at Bell City.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah, you're right. And
that's 4 of them that year that went to D1 schools.
Randy went to Southeast High School in Oklahoma City, but that team was an option team before Randy goes down. I mean, it's a pure running team, and then they come back, and then he blows his knee out on an option play. And then the following year, they completely revamped the offense with the likes of Derek Zeno and Willie Henderson and just blow the doors off the passing records at UCO.
Right.
So
Go Broncos.
Yeah, go Broncos.
That was quite the trip down memory lane.
Yeah, a little bit.
There.
That's the ones you can talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Go ahead, Jeff.
But I'll tell you. So yeah, I'll segue to the Chiefs in that they've done a similar thing, and now they revamped their offense around Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Andy Reid was pretty much the West Coast guru. He was he wasn't the guru, of course. Walsh was, but he was continued that. And when he found with Smith here, they still continued that kind of thing. But I'm pleasantly surprised and very happy that he kind of revamped himself, and they now run. I don't know if it's technically the spread offense, but what else you call it?
Yeah.
It's basically the college spread. And Mahomes can sling it all over the field, and he's used that to his, Coach Reid has used that to his advantage. And we're seeing, records set like Mahomes left and right.
This is kind of a similar situation with maybe a lot of quarterbacks and coaches right now that are kind of having come to Jesus moments, maybe, with with what Andy Reid did, realizing that Alex Smith, okay, he might not be the one that can get the job done. He can take us maybe to the AFC Championship game, but we need a little something extra. And so maybe maybe there's a few teams out there, one namely like the Cleveland Browns, that okay, we need to change something up here. But I think that Andy Reid was a perfect example of somebody pulling the trigger at the right time, looking within himself, looking within personnel, and saying, okay, we need to change for the betterment of our franchise, and he did it. And so I think you have that with the Browns, you have that with Jason Garrett and Dak Prescott right now with, like, okay, are they really the guys right now? Or, there's a lot of these decisions that are being made right now, and it's just you want to make sure that you're right in pulling the trigger for sure.
Well, it also has to do with a lot with if you have the right quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody can run the spread offense. I mean, I think Houston's dangerous with Watson. If Cam Newton and I just lost him in the Tampa Bay. If they have great
Jameson Winston,
coaching, I think those guys could be great. Yeah, those guys could be great as well. It all comes down to how the coach approaches it, and that's why I think people like Kingsbury and coaches that are having kind of a college approach to the offense. I mean, let's face it. It wasn't just 2 or 3 years ago. The pundits said that you can't run the college offense in the pros because the pros are too big and fast and carry your quarterback.
Yep.
Well, if you protect him and run the right offense, like Andy Reid showed, you can protect your quarterbacks. I mean, Mahomes got hurt in a very freak accident. I mean, a freak play, not accident, but a freak play where he dislocates his kneecap just in a weird way. I mean, on a quarterback sneak, he basically goes forward.
Yeah.
And so, other than that, I mean, you can protect your quarterbacks. And Mahomes doesn't take too many big hits. Watson doesn't take too many big hits down in Houston.
Not yet.
Well, not yet. But it only takes one, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think if you can find a way to protect them, these offenses can work. And I think that's why Tyler Munn went high and Baker went high, and you're going to see the Clemson guy. These guys are going to start going higher than their dual threat quarterbacks.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think so. And yeah, I mean, especially you said it really well. It's like Patrick Mahomes too is learning this. How to be smart about running. Him and Deshaun Watson are two of those guys that are really, they know how to stay in the pocket, but they both know when to take off and be safe. And we're seeing more of that within a lot of these running quarterbacks too. It's like Michael Vick was kind of reckless, and these scramblers. I would say like you're seeing almost an evolution of the scrambling quarterback. It's like you've got to have that part of your fundamentals, but you also can have to sling it too. And so you're seeing a little bit of both now with this evolution of the quarterback in the NFL.
Don't you think though eventually that the defenses are going to figure out how to defend this wild, I don't want to call it a wildcat because it's not, but this type of offense that some of these more athletic quarterbacks are running?
Oh, they always do. Just like they finally figured out the West Coast offense, right? I mean, Walsh was
that took
dominated
about
with San Francisco
10 years,
all those
though.
years, and then also they figured it out. But it took a while, but they always figure it out, and then you have to do something different.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a challenge. Talking about arm strength, just real quick, guys, I think you could probably find it on YouTube. I'm not exactly where, but I think it was in August, local radio station or TV station was at the stadium, and they filmed Mahomes throwing the ball out of the stadium. He threw it over the upper deck in the end zone.
From where?
In the parking lot.
Yeah.
From where? Where's he standing?
He's down in the end zone.
Oh yeah. Well, that's still a lot.
No, that's impressive.
The height of the
Oh,
that's a pretty high up stadium.
It's pretty up there. Yeah, for sure.
It's over it's over lower end, but still, I mean, the guy's had a gun. I mean, he does things sidearm, and I think him playing shortstop has helped him throw some passes and normal quarterbacks don't throw.
Oh, we've seen that where he's throwing on the run, but going the opposite. He looks like Jeter. He had that jump pass. Maybe the most underrated play of all season was the game against the Titans that they lost. But it was a Derek Jeter jump throw off his back foot that he threw to Tyreek Hill that went all the way to the end zone. Like he's doing that. Like
that's an old Staubach play.
Yeah, maybe.
Staubach had that little run to one side and then jump up like he was, trying to throw it over the fence or something.
Yeah.
And it always was set up big gains every time he did it. But no, it's like, there it goes. So
You know what's
Yeah,
crazy?
he throws the pass I think is fun to watch is he'll throw a pass like underneath an on-rushing lineman or linebacker's arms. He'll throw it kind of beside, like under his armpit, around him, and then the receiver, usually it's Kelsey, will be 4 yards or 5 yards behind the throw, and he'll throw it right up to it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a crazy throw, but he does that several times where he'll throw it kind of sidearm underneath a guy and to nobody, and all of a sudden the receiver appears where he's throwing it.
You know, yeah, there is not a time where it's like you go through a game where it's like, man, he is incredible, and it's crazy right now going through Kansas City. You can't see him not on a billboard. Like he's on every billboard. He's doing every advertisement locally too, which is really kind of funny. He even had a cereal this year too, at Hy-Vee.
What's it called?
I think it was Mahomes Magic Crunch is what it was called.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
And it sold that they would deliver it and word would get out, and then it would be sold out pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean you can get it on eBay
great.
for about $50 right now, which I never. But yeah, I mean that's how crazy Mahomes mania is right now. Like the joke was, back in when it was May or April when y'all had those tornadoes go through, and everybody was worried where Patrick Mahomes was to see if he was safe.
Is he okay?
He was in his basement looking at the playbook. Is like what his fiance showed. So anyway, Mahomes.
Yeah, she I think I want to say Instagrammed it. I don't know if it was Facebook, somewhere social media, maybe tweeted him sitting on the couch with a playbook in his lap, and she says, tornado sirens are going off. Pat's got the playbook.
Yes.
Of course.
And everybody was like, "Oh, thank you, Pat."
But that shows how great he is, how dedicated he is.
Okay.
And he's perfect.
All
so,
right.
anyway.
Well, before I throw up, and I'm a Chiefs. I like the Chiefs.
How smart they are with Twitter to know when they have an opportunity.
They're my team in the AFC. I'm as long as it's not the Saints, and if in fact we're going to talk about that here in a second. Well, we've got you on the phone because I kind of like to see where you think the playoffs are going to line up. But before we do that, I got to ask your take on what on earth is Jerry Jones thinking in Dallas. Give me your take on this.
I don't think Jerry Jones thinks at all. I mean, that's his problem. I mean, I really don't. Well, I don't think that. He doesn't think at all. We're overthinking this way too much. I mean, the whole thing is
it's bizarre.
Jerry Jones wants to be involved with it. He wants to be in charge of everything.
Well, I get that.
Coach and do it as you do it. But
here's the thing. It's his team, and and somebody said the other day, well, it's Jerry's team. He's going to do what he wants. But what he doesn't realize is there's a product out there that he has to maintain some level of respectability and competitiveness. And if he lets these quality coaches go, unless he's got something in the back pocket, I mean, I don't see him hiring Urban Meyer because Urban Meyer wants too much control. I thought the best candidate is already headed to Washington. So now where are you going to go? I mean, Mike McCarthy, maybe, but he's talking to the Browns. So
the McCarthy thing might be interesting only because with Dorsey leaving the Browns, Dorsey was his connection to the Browns because they were both Packers together.
Yeah.
And Dorsey was here in Kansas City for a while, and McCarthy was here in Kansas City before he went to Green Bay. He was quarterback coach here in Kansas City.
Right.
So then that goes way back, and then he went to Green Bay, and that's where he met Dorsey. Now, that's what I thought that was a slam dunk for Dorsey to bring McCarthy to Cleveland because he's a quarterback coach, guru kind of guy.
Right.
Baker needs help. Got Dorsey. Well, now Dorsey up and leaves under some weird circumstances. So McCarthy might be in play. Probably would be a bad choice for Dak. I mean, Dak needs some guidance as a quarterback coaching type.
Well,
raw talent, and he needs just somebody to guide him, kind of like Andy Reid can guide quarterbacks.
He's got to have something because he prospered under Romo. When Romo was tutoring him, he was successful.
So, at least you're not that. I was gonna say, at least you're not in the Brown situation.
Well, no, but you're getting there.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
You're
you
not.
really are.
No, because
I mean,
you've had 25.
Okay. All right.
You've had
Okay.
25 quarterback
Okay.
GM coaching changes.
I'm not referring to what's been happening in
Sure.
the last 10 years. I'm referring to where they're at right now. They're not that far away from where the Browns are.
Well, they're both dysfunctional in their own
Yep.
ways.
Yep.
For sure. But I definitely think they're less dysfunctional than the Browns. Because they are, look right now, the Browns are looking at getting a baseball GM. Not a
Moneyball.
Yeah, they're looking at John Podesta.
Hire what's the guy's name from Oakland that did the Moneyball? Who is that? Billy B.
Billy B.
Hire Billy.
They're literally looking at a Moneyball guy though that has not even touched football.
Yeah,
That's how dysfunctional the
yeah,
Browns are.
yeah.
So
Yeah, the Browns have issues in the front office. I
Yes.
agree with that. They appear to be not football people and very clueless non-football people at that. I mean, it just seems like the Haslams are the problem up there more so than Jerry is in Dallas. I mean, and I think I think any of them, I don't care who you pick, unless it's Saban because he's got experience, NFL experience. Just needs to hire an NFL experienced coach or somebody who's got a good pedigree. I mean, Eric Bieniemy here in Kansas City, the OC in Kansas City, he's on his second or third. It was announced today he's getting a second or his third head coaching interview this week. Browns, Panthers, and one other one.
yeah, the Giants I think were looking at him too.
Yeah, I mean that's where Jerry needs to go. He needs to go to NFL and forget. I mean,
none of those college coaches, and I don't care how much everybody's excited about Lincoln Riley and being in OU territory here. Everybody's about to flip out, but and then Matt Rule. Neither one of those two excite me. Urban Meyer a little bit just because of his organizational strengths, but not really a whole lot.
Right. Well, I would say if I was a coach, I might hire a head coach and then say, let's go get Lincoln to be our OC or Matt Rule to be our OC.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
But you don't bring a college coach in to be your head coach right off the bat.
No.
Because
it hasn't worked but
it's
twice.
a whole different ballgame to NFL. A whole different ballgame.
It hasn't worked but 3 times. It's worked 3 times in the entire history of the NFL. Pete Carroll, Jimmy Johnson, and if you want to count Barry Switzer, you can count Barry Switzer.
But
Switzer's he'll get counted. I mean, I love Switzer. He's the man, but he only gets a half because
he didn't coach that team.
He took over Johnson's team.
Yeah.
And I think the 3 of us probably could have done with Barry.
Well, that's what Jerry was trying to prove. Point. Get the biggest. I'm not calling Barry a buffoon, but based on the information that I have, and I had inside contacts there in Dallas, he didn't do anything. He was like always late for the practices. He showed up for the games about game time. He's eating hot dogs on the sideline. I mean, he didn't coach nothing.
Yeah, and he still won. He still got the Super Bowl ring.
He does got one.
That's my point. He gets a half. I don't think he gets a full head coach not there, but I hear you. Yeah, anyway, you're right. I mean, and Pete Carroll really didn't. I mean, he didn't last either. He goes right back to throws. That's what I think. The only person he could possibly talk to the college rank should be Saban.
Yeah.
And it's only because Saban's been in the NFL before.
Yeah, and I think he learned his lesson. Well, yeah, but he had kind of gotten a different culture going. He just had a better opportunity with Alabama. I think if he'd have stayed there long enough, because even Belichick failed his first NFL coaching assignment with the Browns. So, look at him today. So, of course, Saban's 63.
Yeah. No,
67.
He's old.
Yeah. So
and he's fun to go anywhere. He's got a made work.
Oh yeah, definitely. He is worshipped in Alabama.
He's a 5-star. Yeah, he doesn't really have to work too hard anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
His staff works hard, but I don't think he works too hard.
Maybe, but I'd be okay with Saban just because I know they'd be tougher. It'd be a different culture.
We got crazy things happening right now with this whole maybe Jerry has it all figured out.
Maybe
right now. Like maybe he's got a plan where he's got Urban Meyer already under wraps.
Maybe.
And now he's looking for a spot for Jason Garrett because he's apparently a family.
Well, it needs to be a spot where it's like a corner closet office where he's checking in T-shirts or something somewhere. because he does not need to be any part of the football, the game itself or personnel. He does not need to be involved in.
Tomorrow seems like it could be a big day because you have that, like this whole thing. Like they got to say something before the.
They were supposed to do it today.
I know, but they're doing that whole Patriots 4:00 on a Friday type situation.
So you can't a melee thing,
right? And you also have Nick Saban and Tua talking tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have a press conference,
Yeah.
and that's a whole question in of itself. That Tua, because of his injury, might actually stay for another year, but he needs to go big time to the draft.
So while we got you on the phone here, you feel like kind of playing a little bit of fun on see where the playoffs end up? You want to do some predictions here?
Sure.
Okay, so this weekend you got Buffalo at Texans. Who you got?
I tell you, I was thinking about this already, and I think that's a toss-up game to me. Here's why it's a toss-up, because the Bills are an enigma to me. I don't know. We don't see them much down here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've only seen them a few times this year, but I have seen the Texans up close. And if Watson is on, if Watson has a good game, they're really tough to beat.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the Texans at home, just straight up. I don't know what the spread is. It doesn't really matter. I think Texas will win that game.
Okay.
But at the same time, Buffalo, they're scrappy. They showed it this year. They've got 10 wins.
They're tough.
That could be about a 10-9 ball game.
It could be.
That we're looking at.
It could be. But I tell you what, though, Watson, when the Chiefs played him, Watson had a great game, and he was dealing. He's not a great of a passer. He's not that accurate, and he's accurate. And he's at the top of the put him in the top half of the league, but he's just an athlete. He gets things done.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they're going to be able to handle things at home.
KC, who do you got?
I think I have the Texans, and I think J.J. Watt might be the reason why they get him back.
I'm going to agree with all of you just because I don't like Buffalo, but I'm one of those that kind of picks it for the color, not the team. So,
Sure.
or the logo.
I don't. I like that Bills logo.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So Tennessee at New England. Anybody think Tennessee's going to beat them?
I tell you what, if Henry gets going, they can. I mean, then I go back to the Chiefs game. That's how they beat the Chiefs. It was ugly, and the Chiefs couldn't stop a run that day, and they stopped it most every other game except for that one. I think the Patriots are vulnerable. And as a Chiefs fan, I'd rather see the Patriots come here than the Titans, just because that running game is scary.
Titans are dangerous.
The Chiefs' run defense.
Yeah.
The run defense the Chiefs had can be dangerous. So
We would
I don't know,
we would actually avoid them if the Titans win that game because they'd go to Baltimore because they're in the lower seed.
we get the Texans.
Yeah.
We get the Texans.
Yeah.
So that would be tough. Either one. But with that being said, though, you can't. Can you choose against Belichick and the Patriots?
No, absolutely not.
Last week, and last week, they got beat by Miami. Well, the difference is this is a playoff game.
Yeah.
So a playoff game, Tommy Boy seems to throw that crossing pattern to Edelman a million times. They just march down the field and never throw the ball further than 15, 20 yards. So I'm gonna, as much as I hate to, I'm probably gonna pick the Patriots. Although, like I said, the Titans, if they get the running game going, it could be a surprise.
What's your call?
I am gonna go with the Patriots. I think the Patriots.
We're all agree.
I really hope that happens because I want Kansas City, New England, and I want it to go the right way this time.
All right, so let's stay on track with the AFC here so I can keep track of everything. So that would set up Baltimore hosting the Texans and Kansas City hosting New England. Jeff, what do you got?
Baltimore, there's no right now today, the way they finish the season, Baltimore is a hot team. So I think they're going to make the AFC playoffs, the championship game. And then Chiefs at home, although they lost a couple of home games this year, which is unusual for them. I think they'll be dialed in and win the home game there. So it'll be Chiefs and Baltimore, Chiefs and Baltimore for the AFC championship game.
Anybody, you see anything different there?
No,
I don't either. So we're all in agreement that it's Kansas City versus the Patriots for the AFC Championship game. Correct? No, I'm sorry, Ravens. Yeah.
Ravens.
So anybody got
Correct.
any different than the Chiefs?
I don't. I'm picking the Chiefs.
You guys are such homers.
Since day one.
You're such homers. Jeff?
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't think I said. I mean, I'm waffling here. You know, it's you hate to pick against the Chiefs 2 years in a row, but at the same time, I tell you what, it's if Baltimore stays hot, it's going to be awful difficult for anybody going in there. But with that being said, the Chiefs defense has been playing really well, and we beat them earlier in the year. They're able to contain Lamar Jackson for the most part. He scored a couple, but they contained him. They came up with a plan to contain him. So, and then the old adage is tough to beat the same team twice in a year. But yeah, pick it with my heart. I'll pick it with my heart, even though my head's telling me something else.
I hate to be this way, but I'm going with the Ravens because I see
that.
I mean, I hope the Chiefs win, but I got to be a professional here. Can't leave, If it was the same,
go with my heart, not my head.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, all right. So let's venture over to the NFC. So we've got Minnesota at New Orleans on the opening round game.
Yeah, I'll go Saints there. I just don't. I think the home field's going to be a big deal, and now also up here in Kansas City, we don't get as much. Or we get we'll get one NFC game a year. I haven't seen a lot of these teams play. Some of them I've seen a few games. I've watched just NFC games, but Saints and home are tough to beat. So I'm going to go with the Saints.
Okay.
Over the Vikings.
Casey?
I think I'm going to go with the Saints as well, but I think that game is actually going to be much closer than people think.
Wouldn't underestimate Mike Zimmer.
No, and Dalvin Cook has been pretty incredible this year as well.
But I'll go with the Saints. Seahawks at Philly. Philly got one miracle left in the tank.
Seahawks are a walk on that one. I mean, Seahawks were.
I agree.
Seahawks were a few yards away from being home for the first game. So I think the Seahawks are going to beat the Eagles pretty easy. Well, not easily, but they're going to beat them.
Yeah.
I love Doug Peterson, but he cannot beat this Seahawks team.
All right.
There's no way.
All right, so that leaves the 49ers hosting Seahawks and Green Bay hosting New Orleans.
Man, that's a tough one there. I'm going to say Seahawks avenge that home that road defeat they suffered the last game of the year, last game of the year, whatever it was.
Okay.
And I'm going to pick the Seahawks to upset the Niners. And with the Packers and Saints, that's a toss-up for me. But I'll just go with the home team there because it's a flip of the coin on that one. So I'll say Packers at home.
Okay, before we get NFC Championship game, Casey?
I think that so
we got 49ers hosting Seahawks.
Right. I got the Seahawks in that one as well.
Okay, so do I. So I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Green Bay against New Orleans.
I do think that the Packers are actually going to win that game.
So yeah, we're going to have some problems here because I'm going with the Saints.
Okay.
All right, so we got kind of a disagreement here. So in the NFC Championship game, you guys both have the Seahawks against the Packers.
Yes.
Who do you like? Really?
I'm going to go with Seahawks. I'm going to
Golly, you guys are killing me.
Okay.
only because I'm thinking they're tough. I mean, like I said, they were just a few yards away from being the home field advantage. So I think the NFC Championship game's the week before with the winner of San Francisco. Seattle. I think the winner of that game goes to the Super Bowl. I think they can beat either the Saints or the Packers. But Tundra, frozen Tundra, Seattle going there in January is going to be difficult. But I think Seattle's defense is just too good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Packers. I think the Packers are going to win that game. I think that they've won ugly all season, and in the playoffs, you got to win ugly. And I think the Packers can do that. And I think Aaron Rodgers is really good. obviously. He can change games on a dime. So I got Packers versus the Chiefs in my Super Bowl.
Man, you guys are killing me. So I've got New Orleans against the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game, with the Saints going to the NFC Championship game. Or winning the NFC Championship. And you got who in the NFC Championship? Who do you got?
I got the Packers.
Packers?
Yep.
And then, Jeff, you got who in the Super Bowl?
I got Seahawks and Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Seahawks, Chiefs. You've got Packers.
Chiefs, yep.
Chiefs. And I got New Orleans and the Ravens.
Oh, man.
Woo! 3 different picks there, baby.
All right, okay.
That's going to be interesting.
The great thing about the NFL playoffs is anything can happen, for sure.
It'll be fun. We'll take note of next week and throughout the playoffs, and maybe, Jeff, if the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, we'll have another conversation the week before. How's that?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd love to.
So before I let you go, any predictions on who the new Dallas Cowboy coach is?
Well, yeah, I don't. Because my thought really was McCartney. Or I think he's going to go for an offensive-minded coach like a McCartney.
Yeah.
But McCartney being private to Cleveland. Although Cleveland's such a train wreck, I don't know. I think it's going to be difficult getting a coach up there. I think I think that's, I don't know who, but I hope that's what he does.
McCartney,
an offensive-minded coach. Yeah, a McCartney type person.
Yeah.
If not him.
My pick is already gone to the Redskins, so I'm kind of baffled at this point. My fear is that he basically has fired the entire coaching staff. He's going to let Garrett pick his own coaches, but I hope that doesn't happen. But that's what my fear is. That's going to be the fear that probably leads me to become a Chiefs fan more and so.
Well, yeah, and I think, as my brother,
yeah,
he's a huge Dallas fan,
yeah.
And he and I were talking over Christmas holidays. It's like, doesn't just Jason, he's had his run, but he really should have changed about 5 years ago because the team just becomes stagnant. It just can't seem to get out of its own way. To have some runs looking really good, to have runs looking really bad. They've done this for the last few years, and it's just stagnant. It's just you need to change for the sake of change sometimes, and Jerry Jones doesn't seem to see that.
Well, you've ruined Hall of Fame's careers basically because Romo, Witten, DeMarco Murray. There's not too much time left for Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper. Those are guys in that offensive line. They're getting old. Like Tyron Smith, he's looking like he's over 30 now. You got
right.
Those guys are starting to be into the ropes. He ain't got a lot of time left, and you got to bring somebody that's going to rebuild. So he's about to lose 3 generations of stars before it's all said and done.
And it's tough to build an NFL because you see teams different teams do it different ways, but bringing a whole bunch of second half of their career free agents doesn't always work.
Correct.
Because you'll have as many of those you bring in, as many as you have to do well, that same amount or more bust.
Right.
How many people Kansas City's brought in? Like, we got this guy who's so. Wait, why does he do anything? Well, because he's 33 or he's 32 or he's in this.
Correct.
So it's hard to build that way. And if you go through the draft, it's 2 to 3 years process because most players don't really excel until their second or third year.
That's
true. And then they're at the end of their rookie contract and can't afford them.
Yep.
So it's a crapshoot.
All right. Well, Jeff, thanks for joining us. Those that just caught the tail end, this is UCO Sports Hall of Famer Jeff Folks. He is a resident or a native of Oklahoma City, now living in Kansas City, a big Kansas City Chief fan. He's picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. And if they're actually in the Super Bowl, we're going to have him back the week of. Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and have a good, great 2020 and a Happy New Year, everyone.
All right, buddy. All right, guys, we're going to take. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks. You bet.
We're going to be back here in just a couple minutes. We're going to take a quick timeout for about 60 seconds, and we're going to talk about the college football playoffs and the bowls. And Whew, that was a little loud. We'll be back in about 60 seconds. Faithletic, the podcast. You are watching the hottest podcast on the internet today. Be right back. Faithletic, the podcast. We appreciate you joining us, and we are back with our weekly show, and we missed it last week because, well, we were on vacation. Well, Kyle's on vacation. Christmas holidays, I guess you could call it. We did have some things to attend to family-wise.
Some bereavement, as you would say.
Yep.
But, yeah, we're back.
We are.
Good to be back in OKC for sure. It's been great.
So that was a great, in case you were listening in on that, that was Jeff Folks just joining us. He was kind of reviewing Kansas City. He's a big Chiefs fan, lives in Kansas City, Missouri, University of Central Oklahoma Sports Hall of Famer, and had some interesting insights there, I thought.
I forgot to ask him the best barbecue joint, though.
Oh, yeah, there you go. He's got an opinion on that, too.
Oh, I disappointed myself not asking him. Yeah. But,
well, if he's still listening, you could.
Oklahoma Joe's, baby. Oh, so good.
So, in case you didn't hear our predictions, so Jeff had, gosh, if I can remember what he picked here. He had the Chiefs and the Seahawks. Yep. You had the Packers and the Chiefs.
That's right.
And I had the Saints and the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
You're probably the most right.
I don't know about that, but I on the NFC side, I'm definitely picking more with my heart because I love Peyton. Sean Payton is the head coach. I wished he was the Cowboys coach. There was a thing on ESPN or Bleacher Report this week that talked about the top 40 coaching candidates for the Cowboys. And 1 and 2 were pipe dreams. Number 1 was Belichick. Number 2 was Sean Payton.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, so they were 1 and 2. I'd probably reverse that because I like Sean Payton.
Might as well throw Mike Tomlin in there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Oh, well, I'll tell you, Bill Cowher was on that list, though.
His name was mentioned by Cowherd today for some reason.
For the Cowboys?
Yeah. I don't remember, but his name was mentioned for sure. But I really do think Urban Meyer's going to sneak in there and be the coach. Give it a shot, leave Fox, and go do that. I think that's going to happen.
So one of our listeners had an interesting vote for the coach of the next Cowboys. You want to tell them who it was?
It was you.
It was.
You should go coach him.
Well,
coach him up.
Let me tell you something. I've never. I don't know how to say this without sounding egotistical. I could definitely call plays better than Jason Garrett. Let's just put it that way. Whether I could coach the team or not, I don't know. But I could certainly not call the same fourth down play in 4 different games exactly the same that failed. I know better than that.
You would use Amari Cooper more.
I would use somebody instead of the same one over and over again.
Michael Gallup was crazy the other night, but like confounding to me why Amari Cooper's just on the sidelines.
I don't. Not even in the game. He's not even a decoy.
It doesn't make sense.
If you're gonna use the other guy and he's got the hot hand, I get that. But have Cooper in the game to at least distract somebody.
Unreal.
But guess what? The ball's going to 13.
It was unreal to me, especially in that Eagles game.
Yeah.
Where was Amari Cooper?
On the sidelines.
Where are the swing passes out to Zeke Elliott? What are you doing? Like, it was unbelievable to me that happened.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. But so as promised, we're going to talk about some of the bowl games and let's get to the playoffs real quick because everybody's still stinging a little bit around these parts. A bit, wouldn't you say? Stinging.
I don't think they want to talk about it.
That's what I'm saying. Just get over it already.
Yeah. Nobody's spoken a word to me about it. Just Facebook went silent.
Okay, so
after that game,
I am, as you are, connected to quite a bit of OU fans.
Yes,
and I'm also connected to quite a bit of Ohio State fans.
Yeah,
and maybe just because I don't really connect to other people across the country, I don't. But I'm telling you, usually the snippetiest remarks come from Ohio State fans, Notre Dame fans, or OU fans. And I heard nothing from any three of them.
From
nothing.
Any of them.
Nothing. It's like,
oh, man.
So, and I probably have no right to do this because my Cowboys really, of course, I didn't expect them to win. Both of us did not pick them to win, I think, right?
Right.
And I didn't pick OU to win either, but I just didn't expect what I saw.
Oh, absolutely.
It just get
terrible.
It was bad.
By the way, Bull Pick'em.
Yeah.
Not good for me.
Not good for me either.
Not good for me.
You and I are going to be splitting a $10 gift card for somebody.
I have picked 28% of the games
What's mine?
correctly. You have 75%.
Really?
Yes.
Is anybody ahead of me?
You have. There's 3 people ahead. I don't even know who they are.
That's okay. We'll get to it.
Anyway.
Well, I got a better
One of my
chance
buddies from college joined us, and he's ahead of you. But
how much?
Just a couple games.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll still get change.
Yeah, it's but it was ugly for me.
Yeah.
Ugly.
I didn't realize you were that far off.
I don't know what happened. I just don't know.
Biggest surprise.
Oh, for me, Oregon last night, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was the biggest surprise to me. He is going to definitely benefit from the long hair, the lankiness. That's a lot like
Trevor Lawrence. Yeah.
He's going to benefit from that big time. Actually, Colin Cowherd today talked about that on his show, about the fact that what did they call I can't remember his name, but the guy that they called Jordan Light or whatever in 1992, they got drafted and was a total bust. He was like Jordan. We could see similarities, but he got paid. He was the 12th pick in the draft. Herbert kind of feels the same way, that he's a lot like Trevor Lawrence, but he's not quite Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence, by the way, incredible in that game.
I'm gonna correct myself, and I was in error. For some reason I thought Iowa State beat Notre Dame. They did not.
No, they got pounded by Notre Dame.
But I still didn't hear anything from Notre Dame fans. So
yeah,
maybe it's because they were playing in the Camping World Bowl or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Didn't anybody know it?
Got beat, yeah.
But so
my Iowa Hawkeyes looked great against USC. Knew that was going to happen. Got to watch it in small town sports bar in Iowa with a bunch of Iowa fans, which is actually really cool. Yeah, it was really fun. So I don't get to root with fellow Hawkeye fans often. It's just me and my dad on our phones talking about the game. Yeah. So it was really fun to watch that game with a bunch of Iowa fans.
Obviously, since I picked 75%, I mean, for me to pick something that surprised me, I'm probably going to have to say just how bad OU lost.
That was surprising.
I mean, I'm looking at the scores, and I'm looking at games. I'm trying to do a rundown here or something that we're just maybe SMU losing as bad as they did to Florida Atlantic might be one. I mean, they lost by 4 touchdowns.
It just kind of shows
3 touchdowns.
That
4 touchdowns.
The Big 12 is not they're just not going to beat these SEC teams
Yeah.
because the Big 12 is built on speed.
Mm.
Big 10 and SEC are built on these brute strength type. Yeah, they're going to overpower you. So when you get to the playoff, you're 0-4. Like,
yeah.
just like that.
I mean, yeah. Because there hasn't been another Big 12 team in there, right, in that Final Four yet? It's been OU and all of them for Big 12.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I would just say just getting manhandled as much as OU did. And Joe Burrow was just flawless.
Oh, my gosh.
He is the real deal. Like, all season long I've heard the hype and, winning the Heisman, he probably deserved it. But just watching what he did on Saturday, I was really surprised that he had that easy.
Those Gophers, though. The Gophers.
How about that, baby?
That was a big surprise.
Not to me.
Not to you.
Yeah.
No.
I've been trying to tell people all
I
year
know,
they're the real deal.
I really thought Gus Malzahn over PJ Flick,
Yeah.
and I've been wrong
Yeah.
before. Maybe that's who the Cowboys should hire.
I'm in, baby. Hired PJ Flick.
You might be a real Cowboys fan again.
I might be.
PJ Flick.
I would jump all over that bandwagon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been, those that don't know it, and if you've been listening to this show long enough, I'm a huge PJ Flick fan. And if you watch, and just not by, I've studied that program since he became the coach there. And I think he's got it going, and I think that the Big Ten better look out because he's already, making waves.
He's going to be like Pat Fitzgerald was for many years.
At Northwestern.
Yep. And,
and he may have more money behind him than they did, too.
By the way, Indiana beating Tennessee right now.
A little bit of a shocker.
A little bit.
Is our boy Baron Cage having a cow right now?
He probably is watching that game and does not.
What?
Yeah.
He probably thinks he needs another honey butter chicken biscuit.
I guess something.
Give us some power.
Dang.
So college playoffs coming up.
Yes.
It's going to be Clemson against LSU. Who you got? Because you picked Ohio State, right?
I did pick Ohio State.
Yeah. So you think
I think that
Dabo Swinney and Trevor Lawrence have the goods to beat them?
See, I do. I really do think that it's going to be a closer game than LSU OU was.
Yeah.
Just because of what great a program that Clemson is.
I mean, he's slowly building that into a blood.
Yeah. I heard, people are talking Trevor Lawrence, though, John Elway. Like, a greater prospect than John Elway was, a greater prospect than Andrew Luck was, even.
Maybe.
And I don't know. So
like
you
him
have
a lot.
that talent, and then him just lumbering down the field. That was pretty crazy. I think that LSU will win that game, but I think it's going to be really close.
So I'm going to be pulling for Clemson just because I love Dabo Swinney and what he stands for. But I'm not going to, and I also I have been very vocal. I'm not a Orgeron fan.
I do. I love him.
I don't. But I do like Joe Burrow, and if I had to pick an SEC team, probably would be, if I had to pick one to cheer for, probably LSU. Because I even liked them when they had Les Miles, even though a lot of people aren't going to stand him. But I won't be upset if LSU wins, but I really hope that Dabo Swinney wins another national championship. That would be his third, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean,
You pick LSU over your Arkansas Razorbacks?
Probably.
Really?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know. That'd be tough.
Yeah,
that's just because Arkansas is so bad.
You're a part alum.
Yeah, I was only there for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
anyway,
but and let's real quick touch on the OSU A&M game. So Mike Gundy pulls his usual "I'm coaching against OU" coaching philosophy, where he's got it going and he's had 14-0, and all of a sudden he just decides that he is going to run the same plays over and over again and just hang on. So anyway, we're a little bit distracted because I just got a text that Garrett's out at Dallas.
From Toby Anderson.
Yeah.
So who's a
Toby's very hardly ever wrong.
Yeah, I'm looking, I'm checking, I'm looking around.
I don't see anything. I saw something flash up from ESPN, but I haven't. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. I don't know if that's what it was or not.
I'm looking on Twitter.
You're gonna have to. Just bear with me.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It says expected to part ways with Garrett soon. That's all I get.
Tonight.
That's all I've got. Yeah.
Something? Give me something,
Yeah,
man.
I got. Toby, I hope you have more than that. Because if you don't, your credibility just gets shot.
I keep going.
So
I would like to break this news on the air, but
you weren't with us yet when I pulled the ultimate of April Fools on Jacob Major.
well, that was awesome.
Were you around then?
Yeah, I was.
Were you there that day?
Okay, here we go. 50 seconds ago on ESPN.
Yeah.
Cowboys owner Jerry Jones and Executive Vice President Stephen Jones have decided that Jason Garrett will not be a part of the organization moving forward.
Sigh
you can
relief.
breathe.
Sigh relief.
You can breathe.
Did he announce himself as the next head coach?
He did not yet, but he is officially now out of Cowboys
All right,
territory.
Toby. Your credibility stands
Thank
flawed.
you, Toby.
Flawed. Yeah.
For updating us,
Yes.
breaking that on the air.
So
Goodbye, Jason Garrett.
We may have more of a. In fact, I know next Thursday we'll have more insight on this because maybe we'll have a line on who's going to be the next coach, and I can kind of grasp because right now I'm a little rattled. I'm so excited.
I think you're really excited.
I see hope.
I think you want to sing na na na
Na,
na
na,
na na na. Hey hey hey. Goodbye.
In case you couldn't catch that, according to
ESPN, Ed
Jason
rap
Garrett.
sheet, all those guys.
Jason Garrett is out as the head football coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Thank goodness. That's just all I'm saying.
Jehovah Jireh.
Should have happened 5 years ago. And let me tell you something. When he got the coaching job, I was a big supporter. I had people around me says he's not got the stuff. He can't. I thought, give him a chance. He's got, Boy, was I wrong. I was wrong.
8-8 is not.
Well, after you do
just so many years of 8-8 football, he's like Jeff Fisher.
So, couple of facts, and then we got to move past this because it's getting late in our show, and we still want to talk about Trevor Lawrence for a second. Just a couple of facts. 27 times in his career, over 9.5 years as the head coach of Dallas. Actually, 9.5 years because he took over midseason in 2010. They lost a game where they were either leading or tied in the fourth quarter. 27 times.
That ain't right.
And it would have been worse if it hadn't been for Tony Romo because I guarantee he probably did. Well, he had like 30-something fourth quarter comebacks. So it had been worse.
Yeah.
Because he took over the game. He took over the play calling in the last couple of minutes of the game and won a couple of games. All right. Second thing. Never back-to-back playoff appearances in entire 9.5 year
That's
career.
mind-blowing. 3
playoff appearances. Okay. One he lost in the opening round when they had the first round bye. And the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They lost to the Packers in I can't remember what year it was. 16 maybe? Or was it? It was the year that Dak was a rookie. So whatever year that was.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So they lost that first round game at home to the Packers, which poorly mismanaged towards the end of the game.
Sure.
Don't give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers. I think they kicked the field goal to go ahead by 1 or 2. They left too much time on the clock. They were killing the clock, spiking the ball when it's just ran the play and run the clock down.
Sure.
He decided, well, you know what? I got a great idea. Let's give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers.
Bad idea.
So they lose
Don't
that
do
game.
it.
Then and then on top of that, in that game, they got behind like 21-0 before you could even change the channel. So anyway, all I'm gonna say is those are just a couple of facts. Couple of facts.
Bye. The Cowboys.
Don't have to deal with it anymore. Thank goodness.
Everybody bet on the Cowboys next year.
Now, before we move on, Jerry Jones, I am pleading you to make a wise, conscious decision in hiring the next football coach. I know I've said anybody will do other than Jason Garrett. I was just kind of ribbing you a little bit. Hire somebody that knows how to coach a football game.
So Ditka.
Because you got talent around you. Find somebody who can develop talent. Probably a quarterback guy, but I'm okay with a defensive guy if you bring in a good OC. So be smart, be wise, and no, I'm not available for interviews. So just letting you know.
Ditka.
Ditka's like 80.
Parcells.
Yeah, well, that's already been tried.
I know. Let's bring it back.
Well, yeah.
Bill Cowher.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in Bill Cowher, by the way? He's young enough.
Probably.
He's probably like Andy Reid's age,
Probably.
right?
Yeah, probably. Okay, so of what's left, because I said earlier when we were talking to Jeff, my number one guy was Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
Riverboat
Ron.
I would have. He was my number one guy. If I had my pick right now of those that are, and I'm not saying that these guys aren't available. I'm just saying I'd probably go with Urban Meyer right now. I might. I can't see Lincoln Riley. I can't see Matt Rule. Mike McCarthy, maybe.
I mean, think about Urban Meyer and the quarterbacks that he's coached.
I know.
Chris
Thought
Leak,
about that.
Chris Leak has a
Yeah.
great college career because of Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
You name it. Troy Smith. Like, all of these, he's kind of a quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
Silently.
Yeah. He's kind of like
you have to. It takes more to run a college football team because of recruiting and all of that.
Yeah.
It might be a good change of pace for his health.
Maybe.
As well.
Maybe.
Now, you're still dealing with Jerry Jones, and it's the highest profile coaching job in maybe all of sports. So there's some pressure there. But Urban Meyer very much said Cowboys call you, you take the call.
Yeah. Well, if Cowboys call me, I'm taking the call. But I'm just,
which is why I think Lincoln Riley could be in the mix as well.
Well, he's better than what they had.
And to me, it's like Jerry is thinking something also as well to make a big splash, which is why he wasn't worried about the timing of all of this as well.
Well, clearly Ron Rivera wasn't on his list.
Right.
Clearly.
No, I don't think so. And I don't know that Riverboat Ron was the guy either. Because I think that he's so defensive-minded, and you have Dak Prescott, who you're going to pay a lot of money in this offseason. Yeah, they are. They're going to pay a lot of money for Dak.
I don't know if that's a good idea. I think they're going to franchise tag him.
I don't know about that.
That's a lot of money. Will that be like $25 million or something?
I still think Dak is a good quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
You saw him in the first 8 weeks of this season where he was on fire.
Yeah, but he missed a lot of wide open passes, though.
Yeah, I'll give him that. But again, we talked about scheme. The scheme wasn't there with Garrett because you're not putting Amari Cooper out there.
Yeah, true. I mean, and you definitely have to have, Bradshaw. I mean, I love Bradshaw as a broadcaster, but he really had some really good receivers to make him look really good. And so did Staubach, but Staubach made things happen. He was just I don't want to say the word wizard, but he was just incredible on the field, finding people at the right time. But okay, so maybe this time next week on Thursday we'll have a new football coach in Dallas, and we'll also have a new national football champion in college football. And
we will, won't we?
I think I never did really say who I thought would win.
We won't have a college football champion yet. The game's Monday the 12th.
Yeah, and we'll be back on the... Oh, what? Yeah, 12th is Monday. What?
Yeah, Monday the 12th is the college championship.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Why is it so long?
I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. I'm double checking, but I'm pretty sure it's the 12th.
That's crazy.
Looking.
2 weeks?
Yeah. It's like that, between the Super Bowl, but I don't know. Monday the 13th. The 13th.
Okay, I guess we won't.
We get to talk about that for another week.
Yeah. Well, maybe something's bound to happen. Somebody's going to get in trouble or something.
Sure.
I think the world, everybody's familiar with Trevor Lawrence, and I kind of thought of something else I kind of wanted to talk about a second. I know it's a sensitive subject, but you got to admire Trevor Lawrence and just, his faithfulness and his commitment, because he always gives, credit to God, and so does Dabo. I mean, they're incredible, and I appreciate, and that's kind of one of the reasons I'm a big fan. But I think I kind of want to move to something that's a lot more sensitive, and it's that shooting at White Settlement over the weekend. I saw something somebody said, and I know this is kind of political, and we're trying to stay away from the political end of it, but somebody was ranting and raving about, this is why we need gun laws. And, my thought was, and I saw this on Twitter, somebody said, this guy should never had a gun. He was a bad guy with a gun. A good guy with a gun probably saved dozens of lives, or several good guys with a gun saved several people's lives. So, and those of you who don't know, somebody entered was the Church of Christ in White Settlement, Texas.
I think so, yeah.
He showed up with a long coat on, a wig, and he was being watched by some of the security, but he acted so fast they didn't have a chance to react to it when he first shot and killed 2 church members. But somebody acted quickly, and I just think that this is why you need people to carry guns to protect us. I don't know. You got any thoughts on that, or you want to stay out of it?
I think more just for me. Just probably as we try to stay within the Faithletic side of things, that I really do think that it's definitely a sin problem more than anything.
I totally agree.
I grew up very much in the bluest of blue states where gun control is spoken about, but not practiced in the city. And you see a lot of bad things happen, but really the reality of all of this, and starting my Bible in a year, which is really a cool thing, you see a lot of the originals, obviously the original sin, and the pattern of mercy that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you saw, even with the story of Cain and Abel, where Cain kills Abel, right? But God still shows him mercy.
Yes.
In the end, like he said, well, if somebody tries to kill you, like they'll be punished 70 times 7. Like he still has mercy in that moment, because he could have killed Cain in that moment. Like, and then you see the Lord's favor shine on Noah in the midst of a wicked generation as well. So all of that to say, it's like it kind of feels like we're in this pattern where we just keep seeing this, and I am but I believe now living in Oklahoma that where everybody does have guns, I feel definitely weirdly enough safer.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make any sense. But I know that anybody that would come into our church, if anything would happen, it would be crossfire everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nobody would stand a chance. So I whatever. Like all of that to say, like, it doesn't matter who, it's a heart problem.
Absolutely.
It's 100% a heart problem. And there is a real need for revival in this world, and we see patterns in kind of empires throughout the world that have been close to God, and then they fall away from God, and the empire falls shortly after. The one that we live in right now is in that cycle where we say that we would, that we have a foundation of faith.
Right.
But, like, we have a lot of fake Christianity right now, in my opinion, is that we're fans of God. We don't have a relation, like, not us personally, but we're seeing people that are more fans of God than real Bible-believing Christians that their life has changed, and that
they're not following the path.
They're basically tied to their republicanism a little bit, where I believe that if you are following Jesus, then it doesn't matter what side of the aisle that you fall on.
Yeah.
Because you're really hoping that you're pro-life from the womb to the tomb. And so some of your political stances are going to be different.
Oh, there's definitely
Yeah.
the difference between God's law and man's law.
Yeah.
Where, what's the difference between right and wrong? Well, what's the Bible say?
Right.
It's not what the law says. Now, it's a sketchy area sometimes, but you definitely want to be following God first.
Yeah.
And and maybe I spoke a little out of turn. I just think that we have to protect ourselves, and I think God will want us to protect ourselves.
Sure.
At the same time, we try to reach as many lost souls as we possibly can.
Sure. When you take that as a political issue in itself,
absolutely.
I understand.
Yeah.
Now, living in Oklahoma, for sure. Now, I do think that there should be background checks that are more,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That are way more
I'm
extensive.
not big fan of people,
you can
carrying
go
a
to
gun
Walmart.
to get without a permit. I mean, you gotta go through the process.
Yeah, I think that that's what happens a little bit. Is there's always an overcorrection on these things, where it's like it almost feels like it feels like the Democrats are trying to take our guns away. So let's just not have any laws at all. Like just right to bear arms. Let's go back to the way that it was. And I don't think that's the right thing either. I think that there's a reality of that we need to live in moderation and a little bit of let's protect, let's be smart about who we're giving guns to. But I know there's a reality that just sin is sin, and people are going to find that no matter what. And I think all of this, could be wrapped up in the point and kind of wrapping up our night is that we need Jesus.
Absolutely.
That's why, we just had Christmas was because of him. But gosh, we really, and even for me personally, it was I started reading the Bible chronologically with our church, which is great.
Yep.
And I realized even for me personally that, I kind of take even my own personal relationship with Jesus for granted. It's a weird thing for a pastor. We can talk about this more, but it's sometimes my studies would become my own personal time when I definitely need to separate that in my own personal life. And so, I think it's so important that you're spending personal time with Jesus and that you're, I like to call them putting logs on the fire, that you are finding something to stir your affections for Jesus even more and build that fire in your relationship with the Lord.
Just personal question.
Yeah.
You started yesterday with the chronological Bible, which we're all, committing to as a church.
Sure.
Feel different after the first 2 days?
A lot of mine was actually crammed into today because I was on the road. But just for me personally, there's a real comfort.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, and I also read another devotional as well. And just speaking real, in the past 2 weeks with losing my grandpa and all of that, you can really start to question a lot of things. It's why did my grandpa have to go through cancer?
Yeah.
Why did it, but all of these things that I have questions about, but when I come back to God's word, I know who's in charge, that he is the one that is in charge of those questions that I have. And at the end of the day, he's my rock and my salvation.
Right.
And so today, as I'm going through God's word and praying through things and praying out loud and all that, I'm everything's going to be okay because I know who's in charge. I know who's in control for sure. So,
well,
I definitely feel different.
I did. Me too. And I did a lesson at our previous church a few years ago, and one of the things was, when was the first prophecy of Jesus? And I knew what the first prophecy of Jesus was, but I never really looked into depth at it as I did yesterday.
Yeah.
When he bruised his heel.
Yeah.
In Genesis 3.
Sure.
And I really got more depth into it to understand more what the interpretation of that was.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Well, even just there's the little verse about the fact that like the original sin, the first sin, that they used. Jesus clothed them with the cloth of a ram, or the wool of a lamb.
Yep. Same thing they wrap in. And,
sure.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that we skip over, but that's like a prophecy, or a theophany is what that's called, of Jesus to come. That, like, okay, we just found out, like, just in a little passing verse, that, they were clothed all of a sudden. Well, Jesus had to shed blood through the lamb to cover them and give them mercy and grace. In that moment, Jesus would do that through his son, or himself, 4,000 years later, which is crazy.
Yes, it is. And, I feel like I need... So that's our show. I mean, I think we should end on that note. And we appreciate all our listeners out there today. Again, if you are listening for the first time, we're Faithletic, the podcast. We try to combine athletics and faith. And we also, go a little bit into entertainment as well. And try not to get political. I think I did there for a second, but it wasn't intentional.
Just a minute. No big deal.
Yeah.
It led us to a faithful discussion.
Kind of segued into something. If you missed the segment or missed portions of the segment, you can always go back and see us on Facebook, our Facebook Live page. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel, Faithletic the podcast. And this will actually be, I think, the 12th or 13th episode that we've done.
Sure.
So you can go on there and see any of our episodes, actually. And you know what? We missed. We'll have to do it next week. Overvalued, undervalued, or money.
We didn't get the chance to do that, but we had Jeff on, which was great. There was so much to talk about.
We'll do it next week.
Overvalued, undervalued, and money,
which is our original segment right here by the Faithletic broadcast team. All right, we appreciate everybody for joining us. Certainly try to impact people's lives throughout your week, and as I always try to talk about our mentoring kids, our kids in our mentoring program, if you're not trying to make someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time. So have a good week.
Yeah, have a good last 3 days of your Christmas break too, everybody.
All right, appreciate everybody for being here. We'll see you next week. Faithletic the podcast. Thanks for joining us.